and may now speak to any other organizers or panelists on the line. When you are ready to begin the presentation, press the Start Broadcast button on the GoToWebinar control panel to allow all attendees to hear you. This system will notify you once you begin your broadcast. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome once again, and thank you for your patience. Technical issues do happen. I hope you can hear me. Yay. Okay. Excellent, excellent. So, sorry about that. I think I might be straining my computer. I have something like 5 different desktops open, each with a dozen applications open. So that might be the reason. Anyway, I'm glad to hear that you can hear me and that we can then continue. Okay, perfect sound. Good. All right. Hooray. That's good. All is great. Good. Okay. So first of all, kindly generate the so with our study of the Longcheningtic Guru Yoga, Chitubi Shinobu, the Wishfulfilling Jewel, let's kindly begin with the generating the motivation of bodhicitta, which is a very great state of mind. It's a very great attitude. It is that we're approaching this really with a vision that something can be done about the suffering in the world, in the universe. We understand where the suffering comes from. We understand that something can be done about it. Particularly, we understand the value of this approach that we're studying here, the practice of the Guru Yoga. So in this way, there's a strong sense of can-do. And what is our objective with this is to free all sentient beings from confusion. We've understood where it comes from, and our aspiration is not just retreat into some peace for ourselves, but it is to engage all sentient beings and establish them in the level of perfect enlightenment. So that's the cultivation that we are bringing to this. Of course, we might be humbly aware of our failings in various regards. And that's good to be aware of that. But at the same time also, we want to be clear that we are not fixed in one way or another, and every little micro moment we can actually change the way that we think of ourselves, think of our value, think of our role, and particularly this attitude of bodhicitta. So this is something that we begin this study with. So we're presently, in the context of the Guru Yoga, we've established the basic principles of the Guru Yoga, and now we're more in the context of the method, where we begin with the visualization. We visualize the environment where we are, and ourselves, and now the teacher, all within the understanding of pure perception. And like Khyentse Rinpoche, he repeatedly says, pure perception is not imagining things are something that they're not. It's overcoming our own projections and recognizing the innate purity that's innate to the environment where we live and the true nature of all sentient beings. And hence, we ourselves are no longer sustaining this habitual projections about our own existence, but rather we are visualizing ourselves as the true nature that we possess in the form of Vajrayogini, and then the presence of the teacher who is the one that guides us, the teacher who we have in human form. We're here visualizing this teacher of ours in a way that's consistent with what the teacher really is. namely the reflection of the primordial purity that's innate to ourselves and all sentient beings, and particularly ourselves. On the journey, we have a connection with the teacher. So it's not just that we have a scientific imagery of the teacher as such, or the visualization as such, but there's a deeply felt, heartfelt devotion, a quality of bhakti, in which we recollect the teacher with a lot of feeling, and so the teacher, in this sense, is seen as the embodiment of enlightenment, embodiment of all the Buddhas of the 3 times, embodiment of all objects of refuge, and so forth, and also the reflection of our own innate purity. And for that reason, we're not really objectifying or reducing the teacher to the way that we perceive the teacher according to our own karmic projection, but in order to recognize the teacher's actual value, then we see the teacher in form of Guru Padmasambhava. And then we also visualize ourselves as Vajragini, because there's a particular connection between Vajragini and particularly the form then of Vajragini as Yeshe Tsogyal. There's a particular connection then between Guru Rinpoche and Yeshe Tsogyal, and this way we are in front of Guru Rinpoche. And again, just like Yeshe Tsogyal was very close to Guru Rinpoche as his closest student, then also we look to Guru Rinpoche with the same devotion and openness and so forth, that then enables this condition of blessing. So with our opening, our devotion, and the teacher's qualities and compassion, then this experience of transmission of what we call blessing then can take place. So we are visualizing Guru Rinpoche in front of us, and here to your left then there's an image of Guru Rinpoche according to this particular Guru Yoga. And we also visualize Guru Rinpoche then surrounded by a retinue. Now when we visualize the retinue, it's very much for our benefit to recognize the nature of the teacher as embodying all the various objects of refuge, and also to invoke an appreciation for all the countless Buddhas and all the various aspects of the teacher's enlightened nature. And so presently we then visualize all the lineage masters coming down to Guru Rinpoche, who then embodies our teacher. And then also around Guru Rinpoche, then we visualize all the yidams. So this is where we're presently. And Khyentse Rinpoche says, let's just see what these refers to again. I think it's Guru Rinpoche and the lineage masters. Yeah, we visualize Guru Rinpoche surrounded by all the lineage masters, as well as also all the various sages of all the 8 different what we call the 8 which is the the 8 chariots of the practice lineage. So these are then all the various masters, both in India and in Tibet. And this way we invoke all the aspects of the aspect of what we call the guru or the lama. And then we visualize the next, which is then the yidam. So we say all the guru and all the masters, they are what we call root of blessings. Then we also visualize the yidams, which are what we call the root of accomplishment, and then also the dakinis, which are the root of activity. So with Guru Rinpoche and all the masters surrounding these, we visualize all the yidams of the 4 sections of the tantras, the dakinis and protectors of the father and mother lineages, the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Arhats, and Pratyekya Buddhas. Just as the peaks of lofty mountains are encircled by great clouds, so Guru Rinpoche is surrounded by all these beings. So when we talk about the yidams, the yidam then is the inner guru. So while we have the guru who is the source of blessing, and as such we see this as the Buddha in the Vajrayana context, we also see the yidam as the Buddha in the Vajrayana context, but on the inner level. And so when the teacher empowers us to recognize our own innate purity and our own quality as a Buddha, we're empowered by the teacher to sustain the Vajrayana discipline. And yidam literally actually means the commitment. It's a bit like in the Mahayana when we take a vow, like the bodhicitta vow and so forth. It's the discipline that we sustain. So it's the holiest place within our mind. Yidam means the yikidamsi, which means the samaya or the commitment of the mind. And that's where we recognize this inner quality, inner enlightened quality in the form of the deity, and we integrate that in all our experiences. This is then the path of the yidam. And then for those yogis who sustain this discipline, then they are naturally assisted by all the dakinis and protectors. You could say there's the force that is with such yogis, and this is then the force of the dakinis, the unseen principle of the dakinis, and sometimes we refer to this as the enlightened feminine. And also the dakinis, of course, we have practices of dakini, we have practice of yidam, and so forth, in which they then also constitute both all of the three roots as well. We can have dakini as the guru, dakini as the yidam, dakini as dakini, and so forth. So there's various ways that we are presented with the concept of dakini. For example, when we do practice on dakini day, then very often it's dakini in the form of guru. And so we have various ways of approaching this, but in principle then when we talk about dakinis as the root of the activities, then it's just like the protectors, the force or the power that then sustains those with pure samaya. And then also when we talk about the 4 sections of the tantras, this refers to the 3 outer tantras, kriya, upa, and yoga, and then the 4th one is the inner tantras, and in there then we have the Mahayoga, the Anu Yoga, and the Ati Yoga. And then when we talk about the dakinis and protectors of the father and mother lineages, then these are again the various female and male protectors. And then we have the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, and so forth. So we are simply just considering that Guru Padmasambhava is surrounded by all of these. And Khyentse Rinpoche goes on to say, he says, in order to correct our ordinary impure perception of phenomena, we should not visualize them with gross material bodies of flesh, bone, and blood, but rather as bodies of light, very clear and transparent, with a vivid rainbow-like appearances. They appear clearly, yet are empty of substance, like the reflection of the moon and water. At the same time, we should not feel that they are inert, lifeless displays of rainbow light, but that they are completely filled with wisdom, loving kindness, and the ability to benefit beings. So again, when we visualize in this way, they're actually, the deities here that we're visualizing, they're not an object. They're not an object of ordinary karmic dualistic projection. This is display of the primordial nature that is non-dual. So there's nothing about it that is graspable. So the way that we ordinarily think of phenomena as objects of grasping, this is then when we have gross material perception in terms of our outer world and also in terms of the beings in the world and so forth. So that's where we have this solid, graspable perception. Well, perception that we grasp at, even though the nature itself, unfortunately, for our ego is not is not such that it can be grasped, which is of course the frustration of samsara. But here, aligning ourselves with the nature of reality, in the nature of reality being something that cannot be grasped, that is manifest yet empty, we visualize the deities in this form. And also, like I was saying before, it's not as if we have some scientific appreciation, a philosophical appreciation that, oh yes, there's the deities there and they have this nature of appearance and emptiness. But again, that we should have this bhakti or this devotion that appreciates the presence of the teacher's enlightened nature that is permeated by this insight of wisdom, the loving kindness, the compassion, and the capacity to benefit sentient beings. We very often define then the Buddhas in terms of these three qualities: wisdom, compassion, and strength. Khyentse Rinpoche says, although we visualize Guru Rinpoche as a main figure surrounded by an infinite retinue, there is in actuality no distinction or separation between them. All deities and beings in the visualization are emanations of Guru Rinpoche himself. Since they are the display of his mind and are thus by nature identical with him, their wisdom and compassion are equal to his own. So here, of course, the modern analytical person will wonder how exactly does this work, and that is where we need the Vajrayana theory. We need an understanding of the Mahayana principles of emptiness and appearance and so forth. But if we have that, then we understand that what we're visualizing here is this primordial nature as it expresses itself in the form of the teacher, and in there is no one and many. It's beyond these kind of concepts. But at the same time, for us to be able to connect, then according to our conventions, then the teacher manifests in a form that is according to our capacity and understanding. And likewise, also the practice that we're doing here is according to our conventions and understanding. But all the time, we are simply just invoking this single nature of enlightenment. So we would say, sometimes we say, in the nature or the expanse of wisdom, all the Buddhas are one. So Khyentse Rinpoche says, it's said that through strong aspiration and fervor, anything can be accomplished. Similarly, if we think without the slightest doubt that Guru Rinpoche is truly present above our head, his blessings will flow down to us without interruption. So here again also it applies. If we have this understanding that this is the nature of reality, and we're not just philosophical, but we have the devotion, then also there is this presence of the quality of that which lies beyond our ordinary rational mind, in which, invoking this form, then the qualities of enlightenment begin to manifest within our being, and we can say the blessings flow down to us. So Khyentse Rinpoche says, in doing this, we must not think that he is possibly there, he might be there at some future time, or that Guru Rinpoche visualized above our head is no more than a mental construct or a substitute, slightly inferior to the actual Guru Rinpoche who dwells on the distant copper-colored mountain. Again, I think it applies that many in the modern world, they didn't grow up with the notion of Padmasambhava in the copper-colored mountain. And of course, we're certainly, at this time, we need to have the certainty that what we're doing is in sync with reality. So it's not about something that might come or something that goes and so forth. This is the nature of the ground, the nature of our the primordial purity, the enlightened nature. And in invoking this, then, we do this with devotion and yet an appreciation that this is not something that comes and goes, or it's a mental construct and so forth. Anyway, the Rinpoche says we should be absolutely confident that he is present with all of his wisdom and compassion, and we should think that it is only due to our obscuration that we cannot readily perceive him. Now, of course, we luckily have the merit that we have a teacher or teachers that manifest within this world, and as such we have some inkling and some inspiration about what is the nature of Guru Rinpoche. So it's not as if that this is something that's impossible. This is something that is that we can do on the basis of our devotion. And so with that, then we consider Guru Rinpoche is present. Then Rinpoche says, furthermore, we should not think that Guru Rinpoche dwells in so distant a place as to be unaware of us or our supplication to him, or that in caring for so many sentient beings he could not possibly notice or remember us. Guru Rinpoche has complete wisdom, loving kindness, and ability. So again, we shouldn't limit the nature of Guru Rinpoche to our ordinary dualistic imagination, but appreciate that Guru Rinpoche lies beyond the limits of our ordinary imagination, our ordinary concepts. And the way that we invoke this is then again not through philosophy or having some sort of like demand that the Guru Rinpoche ought to be there, but it's something that's premised on a very raw and soft dimension of felt yearning, and that's where we then practice invoking Guru Rinpoche by means of prayer and mantras and so forth. So Rinpoche says we must realize that even a prayer to Guru Rinpoche, the recitation of a single Vajraguru mantra calling upon him, or even the raising of a single hand towards our heart in a gesture of devotion towards him. You know, very often you see practitioners, they'll go, oh, yeah, Kyabje Chi. Sort of like there's something sacred. And so sometimes people will do like this, but sometimes if they got the one hand busy, then they'll just do with one hand, yeah, Kyabje Chi. So all such gestures, prayers or a mantra or such a gesture, or simply remembering him with clear faith, will be perceived by him, for he has full knowledge of our devotion. As is said, the Buddha dwells in front of whoever has faith in him. So again, it applies that this nature is not external to us. We would never say Guru Rinpoche is something external, like somebody there. And so, of course, it applies that when we, for example, say Lama Khyeno or Lama you know, all of the qualities and all the empowerment, blessings, and protection of Guru Rinpoche is present within that. And so then the mere thought of Guru Rinpoche, thought of the Buddha, thought of our Guru, is something that breaks with the ordinary habitual mind, and the quality of enlightenment is then invoked. So we say the Buddha dwells in front of whoever has faith in him. So we see this, if you do this sometimes, Jamgon Mipam Rinpoche's Buddha Sadhana, there's a couple of quotes in there from the Samadhi Raj Sutra, where the Buddha then says exactly this. Even if at the same time an infinite number of sentient beings are praying to him, he will know precisely how each is praying, precisely who is suffering, and precisely who is happy. He will know on which level each being is, and he will know which prayer each makes, and whether or not it comes from the depth of the heart. He will know all these things with great clarity, with the vividness of an image in a mirror. So again, Guru Rinpoche is never external, so there's never anything that he's not privy to in terms of every single sentient being. And again, we're saying Guru Rinpoche, and again we understand that the ultimate Guru Rinpoche is inseparable from our own Buddha nature. So there's nothing that's not privy to Guru Rinpoche. Guru Rinpoche himself said, I stand before the door of whoever has devotion. He will always accompany us, as close as our own shadow. If we have devotion, it is promised that all the Buddhas of the 3 times will remain with us. This is the promise of Guru Rinpoche, who, as the emanation of the body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas, manifested especially to meet the needs of beings of this decadent age. So when due to the incredible merit of the people of India and the people of Tibet and so forth, that someone like Padmasambhava manifested in their realm, and also due to the merit of us here in the present age, there's still a little bit, there's still a little light ray of merit that seems to be happening. Here is the conditions then for enlightenment to manifest, and as such the Guru Rinpoche manifested and embodied enlightenment. So according to then the devotion and the merit and the capacity of beings, the Guru Rinpoche manifested according to the needs then of the beings of this decadent age. Of course, Guru Rinpoche, as the nature of enlightenment, is ever present, and yet when the merit and the conditions are not there, then even though this nature and Guru Rinpoche's nature is present, then it's not manifest for us. So we say his prayers and compassion have great efficacy in the alleviation of the suffering of the epidemics, famines, and wars that beset such an age. So we say, according to the prayers of Guru Rinpoche and his concern for beings, and then again with our devotion, then the conditions, we connect with the power and strength that can alleviate all these various unwanted circumstances. Rinpoche says, now when all beings are afflicted with gross poisons, when nothing remains but residues of the good qualities of former times, and when the negative influences of irreligious vow breakers are rampant, we must pray especially to Guru Rinpoche, so that he will subdue all negative forces and pacify all torments. So we say that Guru Rinpoche, in someone who took on the world and was particularly vividly manifest within the world, not just as someone who was a renunciant, but somebody who completely embraced the world, his particular Buddha activity is such that if we invoke him, he's particularly powerful in terms of alleviating the negative forces of this day and age. So we actually have we have a lot of prayers to Guru Rinpoche, which is very much about removing all the negative conditions and establishing all the positive conditions and so forth. So we say that Guru Rinpoche's compassion is particularly powerful for beings in this negative age. The style of Guru Rinpoche as an enlightened being, again, is something that is sometimes difficult for us to understand, and I think I mentioned before, I've put up a short little essay from Chögyam Trungpa about Guru Rinpoche, which is up in the resource folder, material or reading or whatever, up in the Dropbox. It is called Guru Rinpoche and Primordial Innocence, and it's a very sorry. It's a very beautiful appreciation of Guru Rinpoche, and also something which enables us to understand the lifestyle and the example of Guru Rinpoche, Guru Padmasambhava. So, Rinpoche says, we must also have firm faith that our own teacher, whom we can meet face to face in this life, and from whom we can hear the pith instructions directly, is identical with Guru Rinpoche. So the same thing applies according to our particular merit, and according to our aspirations and so forth. Then we have the fortune to encounter someone who is manifest in this age, and just like Guru Rinpoche manifested in Tibet, and the nature of Guru Rinpoche is unchanging, then also our teacher has manifest in this world, also reflecting this unchanging nature. And so there's a particular connection with our teacher. And so we say praying to our own Guru will bring us blessings even more swiftly. When rain falls upon a roof, the drain pipe collects all the water. In the same way, if we pray to our own teacher as inseparable from Guru Rinpoche, we will be able to gather all blessings. So we say we have a particular karmic connection with our teacher, and again, to visualize our teacher as inseparable from Guru Rinpoche enables us to go beyond the ordinary way that we objectify the teacher. So combining these two is very important. Guru Rinpoche, as the embodiment of all the Buddhas of the three times, displays many aspects. No matter which of his aspects is the object of our supplication, our aspirations will be fulfilled. In the prayer known as the spontaneous fulfillment of all aspirations, Sambal, if we are stricken by illness or our life is endangered, we supplicate Guru Rinpoche in his aspect of Amitayus, the Buddha of infinite life. If we are destitute and deprived of everything, we supplicate him in his aspect as the deity of prosperity, Guru Norla. If we are threatened by natural environment, we supplicate him in his aspect of the master of the elements. I forget. If we are attacked by wild animals or other assailants, we supplicate him as the invincible hero, Pao Ging. If afflicted by disease, we supplicate him as the medicine Buddha of Udayana, Ujjain Menla. If death comes upon us without warning, we supplicate him in his aspect of Buddha Amitabha, infinite light. If we are tormented by the fears of the bardo, we supplicate him in the aspect of the one who knows the three times, Dusun Khyemba. Guru Rinpoche's nature as union of all the Buddhas makes possible this vast array of manifestation. So when we come across, you could say, the various the culture of Guru Rinpoche as we have it in Nyingma tradition, which of course also is present within the other traditions of Tibetan Buddhism, we have all these various aspects of Guru Rinpoche. We talk about the 8 aspects. We talk about the 13 aspects according to the Sambalundra. We talk about the 12 manifestations, and so forth. So all of these are just various ways in which we can invoke Guru Rinpoche. Guru Rinpoche, Khyentse Rinpoche continues, Guru Rinpoche's nature as the union of all the Buddhas makes possible this vast array of manifestation. Ultimately, if we pray to Guru Rinpoche as the one essence of all the Buddhas, we will attain the supreme siddhi of the realization of our own inherent wisdom nature. So invoking Guru Rinpoche is consistent with this abiding inherent wisdom nature. So with the invoking of Guru Rinpoche, we are bringing onto the path our dualistic perceptions, thinking, oh, there's somebody out there. But ultimately, it's this skillful means that enable us to then connect with the abiding and innate wisdom. So we can say it's like a practice of yoga in that we adopt these visualization, the mantras and so forth. We refine our perception and connect to this inherent wisdom nature, our Buddha nature. Pray in this way with one pointed concentration and with full confidence, and there is not the slightest doubt that the supplications will be answered. So when we appreciate this and with deep devotion invoke Guru Rinpoche, we're invoking the very power of truth. We're invoking the very nature of what's real. So anything then is possible. This is why Guru Rinpoche, in this prayer, Guru Rinpoche says, as many as 13 times, pray with undivided mind, free of doubts. So in the Sambalundrup, in the prayer that fulfills all wishes, we repeatedly would invoke this. So this is the visualization itself. And then we, as we have it in all sadhanas and so forth, there is then the invitation of the wisdom deity. So let's see if there's any. Okay, that's all right, not to worry. Thank you for the well explanation on the concern of imagination. Thus, a quite interesting vision on, I think, thus I am, just arises in me. Isn't it something related to this concept of the imagination of the lineage of Guru Yoga? Well, I guess we could say any manifestation, not just the thinking, reflects that there's a cognitive capacity. But the thing is, us sentient beings, when we think in terms of objects, without recognizing that these objects don't have any reality, they just become an external object. And so if we, for example, say, I'm defined by what I'm thinking, that's just, again, having a reference point. So ultimately, Guru Rinpoche goes a bit beyond that. But of course, we can say that using here as a skillful means this dualistic concept, Guru Rinpoche out there, yes, we are connecting with something that's inside. So there is some degree of, you could say, the skillful means of this dependent relation. But I'm not sure exactly this is what Descartes meant. Anyway, yeah, that's the only question. Okay, all right. So the invitation of the wisdom deity. Rinpoche says the next step in the sadhana is the invitation to Guru Rinpoche to come from his Buddha field and bless us. Why do we need to invite him if we're confident that he is actually present above our head or present as the abiding reality of our nature? Rinpoche says, as beginners, we're not completely free of the doubt that Guru Rinpoche continues to dwell far away in the celestial Buddha field of the glorious copper-colored mountain. And again, here it applies that for modern people, then we might not have had that thought. And in fact, coming across these notions of Buddha field might be a bit confusing and so forth. But at the same time also, we're engaging in something that lies beyond what we were originally taught. And of course, we do talk about how bodhisattvas manifest Buddha realms, and there is various ways in which the science of Buddhism introduces us to realities that lies beyond the scope of our materialist science and our materialist cultures. Nevertheless, regardless of where we're coming from, culturally and how we think of the world, the cosmology, and so forth, we continually are coming back in the Buddhist teaching to this vision of how the original non-dual enlightened disposition is innate to us. And so we might not think of Guru Rinpoche as dwelling far away in Sandopari or dwelling in Uluru, but we might think that the teacher is out there and so superior to us, and we are just ordinary sentient beings, very confused, and we're stuck in being ordinary sentient beings. And us visualizing Guru Rinpoche is maybe something that we're doing right now, but we don't really believe that we actually truly are that. But we do think then that there is, hopefully, we at least acknowledge the possibility that somebody could be enlightened, and certainly it would be good if we could see our teacher in this way. And so we do think that there is enlightenment. It exists, but it's out there. We might think that we're not enlightened, but the teacher is. And so there is still some need to overcome this dualistic perception. So Rinpoche says, in order to eliminate this doubt, we invite him to come from his Buddha field, believing that he actually does come, and that he dissolves into the Guru Rinpoche that we visualize dwelling above the crown of our head. Our visualization is empowered in much the same way a statue is filled with sacred relics, or an inert body is endowed with a mind. So this is concordant with the nature of reality as it is, but we are accommodating our dualistic perception according to this, by means of this exercise or this practice of invoking the wisdom deity. But we think the perfect enlightened condition now enters us. So we should then think that Guru Rinpoche is truly abiding with us, both in aspect and in essence. So both the qualities are there and also the intangible essence is there. And through this belief, our devotion and fervor will greatly increase. So this belief is founded on something that lies beyond just our imagining something, but coming from a deep place of inspiration, and that is informed by our faith, by our insight, by our lack of grasping mind, by our openness, and also by the deep devotion and yearning for the teacher. To generate and sustain our devotion and to invite Guru Rinpoche, we use the prayer in 7 lines known as the 7 diamond verses, the Tsigdun Soldep, 7-line supplications. There are many prayers of varying lengths that invoke Guru Rinpoche, from the extensive prayer in 7 chapters, the Leudunma, to the moderate long prayer to Guru Rinpoche that removes all obstacles along the path, the Vachalamsa, and the prayer for the spontaneous fulfillment of all aspiration, the Sambalundu. The most condensed and essential prayer, however, is the 7 diamond verses, also known as the 7-line prayer. This is a prayer of immense power. For instance, Guru Rinpoche, having resolved out of compassion to manifest in our world, manifested from the heart of Amitabha in the form of the red letter Shri, which amidst boundless rays of light descended and came to rest on a red lotus blossom in the center of Dhanakosha Lake in northwest Udayana. Then in an instant, the letter Shri transformed into an 8-year-old boy, Guru Rinpoche, the lotus-born. So again, for the modern person, this seems beyond the ordinary rational mind, and but Trungpa Rinpoche, like he says, things do happen beyond our ordinary rational mind, and that I think all of us somehow appreciates. In the Buddhist context, we talk about 4 modes of birth, and one of them is actually what we call spontaneous birth as such. But of course, also what's implicit here is that Guru Rinpoche embodies then enlightenment and manifested as enlightened from the start. And this, of course, is particular also to the entire approach of the Vajrayana and the teachings of Guru Rinpoche, the Vajrayana teachings. So, as an expression of this, we say Guru Rinpoche took birth as the lotus-born. He did all this specifically in response to the fervent recitation of the 7 diamond verses, by means of which the Dakas and Dakinis entreated him to appear in this universe. Now, we say Guru Rinpoche manifested in the Swat Valley of Udayana, and actually to this day, if you go to the Swat Valley in Udayana, what am I saying? The Swat Valley in Pakistan, which of course was part of the ancient India, and but if you go to this place, then actually the inhabitants there now, who are Muslim, not Buddhist, they still talk about these fairies, which sounds very much like Dakinis. So we can understand that this place was particularly sacred, and it seems that we have this phenomena of Dakinis. Sometimes we talk of Dakinis in the sense of wisdom, but we also talk about karmic Dakinis, beings that are actually born within this world that are then Dakas and Dakinis. So this is something that I think anthropologists, they could do well in exploring. So far, there's not so much written on this, but it's certainly an interesting phenomenon. And anyway, we would say that the Dakas and Dakinis, they constitute then the Vajrayana Sangha. So a lot of the teachings that we have in the Vajrayana comes from the Dakinis, the Dakas and Dakinis, and also that so many of the transmissions that we have in this world come from them. So they invoke then with this 7-line supplication, and Guru Rinpoche manifested, took birth then in Udayana. So in another instance, during a time when Guru Rinpoche was dwelling in India, the land of the noble ones, And by the way, note this is actually also really important. Tibetans will always refer to India as Jagat Pakpeyul, land of the noble one. Aryavarta refers to India, so called because it was there that the Buddha lived and achieved enlightenment. But this is important, particularly for us modern people who are so sort of ridden by this insecurity that we want to assert the value of our own culture, sort of left over from our colonialist past, and particularly then people from places like Europe, like me and America and so forth. There's very much this sense that, we have to rule the world. And so in appropriating Buddhism and teaching Buddhism, there's so much insecurity that drives people to say, oh, we have to have our own. We don't want to be dependent on the Tibetans or the Indians or whatever. But that's where the Tibetans are such a good example, because for the Tibetans at all times would refer to India as the source of the Dharma, the holy place. And Tibetans themselves never talked about Tibetan Buddhism. They would always say for Buddhism to be authentic Buddhism, there shouldn't be any corruption in that. That it should have been mixed up with Tibetan phenomena. And so the Tibetans, despite what we sometimes mistakenly assume, everything that we have of Buddhism in Tibet was validated on the basis that it was authentically Indian. And so Tibetans would always refer to India as this place where that was holy, and the value of the Dharma lies in being the original Indian Dharma that was continued in Tibet. So Tibetans themselves never had this sort of inspiration that let's make Buddhism ours. They practiced it, and of course they did it with some Tibetan external attributes, but the core of the teaching remains the same. So, important point. So when Guru Rinpoche was dwelling in India, then a great debate was held between the Buddhists and the Titika Panditas. So these are the ones that were seen to have a confused view on reality, and as such weren't able to present the path to enlightenment. Titika literally means those abiding on the riverbanks, as many of the Hindu ascetics either live near the banks of the holy river or often go there on pilgrimage. By extension, this term refers to adherents of any doctrine other than Buddha Dharma. Well, I'm going to add something to that, because we do say for Titika, certainly in Tibet we say mutekpa. And that means when we talk about those banks that they're abiding by, what we actually mean is those that cling to extremes. Mutekpa means those that basically ride on extremes. So yes, the external aspect might be that they're riverbanks, but the inner significance is that we're talking about holding on to conceptual concepts. And that, of course, constitutes a cognitive obscuration. So in the Buddhist teaching, there was a fair amount of engagement, debate, not sort of it was founded on an insight that we have a valid science here and we need to assert its validity. So there was a great debate between the Buddhists and the Titika Panditas, who were in residence in Bodh Gaya, Dorje Den, Vajrasana, the Diamond Throne, present-day Bodh Gaya. As the debate progressed, it seemed that though the Buddhists were going to lose the contest, one night many of them had a visionary dream in which a Dakini in the form of an old woman, appeared and predicted their imminent defeat. She explained that their only hope for victory lay in receiving the aid of her elder brother, who was at that moment performing yogic practices in one of the great cemeteries of India. His name was Dorje Tunchansal. So this is one aspect of Guru Rinpoche, Vajra, strength of the skull diamond. She said that were they to make strong entreaties to him, he would without a question come and vanquish the heretics the heretic Panditas. The Buddhist scholars feared that the distances were too great for Dorje Tuntrunsel to be able to arrive in time to save the debate. They felt that only a miracle would be able to bring him soon enough. The Dakini reassured him, and explaining that for Guru Rinpoche, time and distance poses no hindrance. She urged the Panditas to make a great offering on the roof of their temple and to invite Guru Rinpoche through the fervent invocation of the 7 diamond verses. She promised that if they proceeded in this manner, Guru Rinpoche would come. By the way, I'm going a little bit over time, just because we started a bit late, but I'll stop when there's sort of a, a logical break. Okay. Someone says, have you seen devas? If you're thinking of sort of external entities, no, I'm not very psychic. But at the same time, deva in a Buddhist context, of course, refers to the abiding inner disposition that is free from confusion, and that is what we invoke when we say deva in terms of the yidam, one of the root of accomplishment. All right. So the next day, discovering that many of their number had had the same dream, they followed the instruction of the Dakini. Just as she promised, Guru Rinpoche appeared in the sky and then sat down in their midst as the chief scholar, ready to dispute with the heretic teachers. In the course of the debate, he destroyed their arguments using both his mastery of scriptures and his wisdom. The Tirthikas, in desperation, fell back upon their skills in magic to put a curse on the Buddhist scholars. Guru Rinpoche then went to the cool forest charnel ground, Silwatsel, which apparently is that charnel ground just outside Bodh Gaya. And there, the lion-headed Dakini, Sengi Dongma, appeared to him and told him to meditate upon her and recite her mantra for 7 days, after which Guru Rinpoche, bringing down thunder and lightning upon the heretics, utterly vanquished them. After this, the heretics entered the Buddhist path. So they were sort of resorting to black magic, and then Guru Rinpoche then responded in sort of the same way. Anyway, this was then the cause for them entering the Buddhist path. The 7-line prayer carries very great blessings. Among all the termas, or rediscovered spiritual treasures found in ancient or recent times that address Guru Rinpoche, there's not a single one in which the 7-line prayer is not found. As Guru Rinpoche said, when a disciple calls upon me with devotion and the yearning song of the 7-line prayer, I shall come at once from Sangdopari, meaning the copper-colored mountain, like a mother who cannot resist the call of her child. And so now we're going to go into a little bit an explanation of what the specifics of the prayer is. So this is the prayer that many of you would be familiar with, Hum, on the northwest border of the land of Uddiyana, or in Tibetan Hum, Hujanul Kien Lukchan Sam, and so forth. So we'll start there next time. I think I said we'd be doing this over 10 times. I think it might be a little bit longer. Anyway, just see, there was one question that I didn't answer before. And of course it applies that when we're doing these Wednesday mornings, then you should feel free to also ask questions that have to do with Dharma God practice in general. What is the difference between the decadent age and degenerate age? When did this age started? That's pretty much the same. It's Kali Yuga, and sometimes in Tibetan we say Nigdu, which is the time of the dregs. Or we would say it started quite some time ago, and we would say that from the time of the Buddha onwards, we're already in the Kali Yuga. So we see both the Buddha and Guru Rinpoche as very compassionate, having come in this time. But it's we've been in the Kali Yuga for quite a while. Would you please post all of the names of Guru Rinpoche in the prayer? Spontaneous fulfillment of all aspirations. Yeah, it's if you find this one, I mean, I can put it up there. Then actually, there's 13 references to various aspects of Guru Rinpoche. So you have the names inside the prayer. But I'll put it up there, and if I don't, it applies. Please remind me. I'm not doing this Guru Yoga yet in the Ngondro, and then it goes on to say, I'm doing another practice. I'm very attached to it because it feels so good. No, that's good. I mean, anyway, this here is just, this is general for whatever Guru Yoga you might be doing, the Longchen Yingti, Chetsun Yingti, the Kyabje Ngondro, whatever Ngondro we're doing, it all comes down to the pretty much the same, the liturgies, the chants might be slightly different, but they're all the same. But there's no assumption that we should already be there. At the same time, the principles of Guru Yoga are good to know because it's also present within all the aspects of the Ngondro, the devotion and so forth. It's very often how we begin the session at any given session of meditation. Okay, that was about Devas. What is inside Dhammaga? I'm only in Ngondro. Dhammaga is just really people who've done the same thing as we're doing in the Ngondro, but just started together. And Dhammaga sort of runs as something that started, everybody was started at the same time. But then when we finish the Ngondro, then we continue to the Dhammaga, which at present then is mainly practicing, mainly people in Dhammaga are practicing various Ngondro practices. But of course, Dhammaga more emphasizes what we call the main practice, the sort of the main Vajrayana view and method. But in principle, we could say actually presently Dhammaga and Ngondro, they're pretty much doing the same thing. If you remember the name of the aspect of Guru Rinpoche that is the master of the elements, could you please say, what is it again? Guru. Something I'm not sure. But look, I'll put the Sambalundra prayer, the fulfillment of all wishes. I'll put that up so you have it in there. I didn't find the audio of the last class in the Dropbox. Oh, really? Okay, that's no good. Okay, I have been traveling around, so that's possible. So yeah, please remind me. I'm going to be traveling a bit more, so if there's anything that's lacking, just don't hesitate letting me know. I'll do my best. Anyway, thank you. I'll check that. Okay, all right. So thank you for joining me here for this practice. What's it called? Study. And let's see here. Thank you for your patience, not getting with the technical issues that we had. Through this virtue, may all beings throughout existence awaken together without a single being left behind. In the pure realm of the luminous essence, the ground of the great perfection, may they remain inseparable from the kayas and wisdoms. Through all our births, wherever we may be born, may we be endowed with the 7 good qualities of the higher realms. As soon as we are born, may we meet with the Dharma and have the freedom to practice it properly. At that time, may we please the holy gurus and practice the Dharma throughout the day and night. Realizing the Dharma and accomplishing its essential meaning, may we cross the ocean of existence in that life. Thoroughly teaching the holy Dharma in this world, may we never tire of accomplishing the benefit of others. By this vast benefit of others, without partiality or bias, may all attain Buddhahood together. Thank you.